Welcome into the Kings Recap Show on the Sactown Sports YouTube channel. Rami Makloff with you, and they are indeed lighting the beam out there at the Golden One Center after a 136 win pounding of the Orlando Magic tonight. It was all Kings all night. They controlled this one from start to finish. They needed this. I think Kings fans needed this. We talked today on the Cattles and Rami show, weekdays 3 to 6 on Sactown Sports. Cheap plug in the first 60 seconds of the show about how the Kings were blowing a golden opportunity with sort of a weak spot on their schedule that they weren't taking advantage of. And not only did they take advantage of it tonight, they did it with ease. And that was important. And I'll get to why I think that was important a little later in the show. They started off the night doing one of the things that has been a cause for a concern with this Kings team, and that's controlling the paint and doing some good work in the paint offensively. 20 points in the paint in the first quarter. The ball was moving well from the start. 13 assists for the Kings in the first quarter. Too many second chance attempts for Orlando, not just in the first quarter, but the first half. They had 4 offensive rebounds there in that first quarter, but a very hot start for the Kings. They shot 70% from the field, 17 of 24 in the first. They also were 7 of 11 from 3, 63, almost 64%. Cooled off a little bit in the second half, but finished the half shooting almost 56%. They won the points in the paint for the half because, again, has been a problem for the Kings, 28 to 24, and they had 20 assists, 19 offensive rebounds. And Harrison Barnes, you could tell by the end of the first half, had something special cooking. He had 16 points at that point, and he stayed hot in the third quarter. Didn't miss till his 10th attempt there in the third quarter. After he hit 2 3-pointers, he had 23 points at that point in the game. This is the one point in the game Orlando made a little bit of a run. They go on a 12-2 run. They had the lead down to 11. And then Keegan Murray, who I've been talking about this with Keegan Murray, he hits some momentum shots for this Kings team. He seems to have the ball in his hands often when the Kings either need to take the momentum or need to stop the team's momentum. And he did that again. He seemed to stop it right there. Kings get hot again. This refs get goofy again there in the third quarter. This game was too far, and I think at that point for the Kings to lose it to the refs or to the Magic with the help of the referees, even with the help of the referees, refs got goofy again there in the third quarter. And I thought Matt Barnes made a good point at halftime. They go into halftime with a 20-point lead, 72 to 52. And Matt Barnes said, put the foot on the throat. Don't play around with these guys. Build on that 20-point lead. Don't ease up. Build on that 20-point lead. And it looked like they weren't going to be able to do that after that run. But Keegan Murray stops the momentum with the big three-pointer. Kings get hot again. They end up going into the fourth quarter with a 23-point lead. It's 107, and that just continues to the fourth. Again, they did what Matt Barnes said they should do at halftime, which is even after the third quarter, after building on that 20-point lead and extending it to 23, built on it even more, continued to pound on the Magic. By the time all the starters were on the game, I think Kevin Herter might have been in the game, but they pulled Moss out. Fox was already out. By about the 6-minute mark of the game, they're up 125 to 95 at that point. Bench did the job. Bench did a really good job for this team, and not just in the garbage time in the closeout minutes, but throughout this game, the bench was very, very good and didn't let up when the starters handed it off to him at that point in the game. Finished the job. 136, 111, the final over the Magic tonight. Welcome your comments on the YouTube page. We'll read some of those before we get out of here tonight on the Kings Recap Show. You can always tweet me as well at Rami. That's Ramie is tweeting. I'll read some of those if you feel like participating in the show this evening before we get out of here as well. So Some of the big things that I thought came out of this game. I mentioned points in the paint. Points in the paint has been one of the things that when the Kings lose, they almost always lose and lose in a big way in that department, and including almost 70 points allowed in the paint to the Lakers in the loss on Saturday night. They win the points in the paint battle, 46-42. I thought that was good, and that's against a team that's got some guys that can do some work down there in the paint. Another problem that's been popping up for the Kings after they were a top five scoring bench to start the season when they were one of the hottest teams in the NBA to start the season. Bench has been kind of quiet lately, and the depth that this team showed early in the year did not necessarily show itself in recent games. The bench came up huge. Let me do some quick math here. Uh, they had about 50 some. I'm going to say 50 some points. Not going to do all the math. 50 some points from the bench tonight, and that's huge. And including, of course, if you're getting a big from the bench, that's with Malik Monk. He had 14 points. Lyles matched that with 14 of his own, 3 of 5 from the 3-point line. I thought that was big. Metu got you 11 points, and then all 5 starters in double digits, with Harrison Barnes leading the way with 30 points. He was on fire tonight. Like I said, didn't miss the third quarter. 6 of 7 from 3, 11 of 13 from the field. It was just an insane night for Harrison Barnes, and he really led the way. 3-pointers for this Kings team tonight. Another huge and good sign for this team. 23 3-pointers for the Kings in this one. That's a franchise record. 23 of 46 on the night, shot 50% from the field. If you couldn't do that math, 53.6% or 50% from three, excuse me, and almost 54% from the field as a whole. And one of the biggest things to come out of this game, I'll read a couple of your comments on the YouTube page before we wrap this thing up. And they talked about this on the NBC Sports broadcast near the end there of the fourth quarter, was the fact that not only because you got up so big so early and were able to pull your starters, like I said, at about the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter, but because the bench was so productive early in the game, you didn't have to play your guys heavy minutes. Nick and I talked about that. Kettles and Ronnie, weekdays, Sactown Sports 1140, and right here on the YouTube page, about the fact that you need to find opportunities to give Domas and give Fox and even give Barnes and Murray and Herter a little bit of rest and to take some of the load off of those guys. And you were able to do that tonight. Sabonis only played 32 minutes. Barnes only played 30 minutes. Murray 26. Fox 29. Evan 22 minutes in this game tonight. And honestly, that might be the biggest plus, the biggest bonus from this 136-111 win against the Magic tonight. They've been putting so much of a load on those guys because they've played so many close games and because of what I talked about earlier with the bench not coming up for this team. Because the bench was good from start to finish, and because Harrison Barnes was able to do what he was able to do, Sabonis didn't have to be Superman tonight. Of course, he got a double-double. That's what he does. He almost got a triple-double. He was 2 assists away from that, 12, 8, and 10. 12, 10, and 8, excuse me, for Domas tonight. Aaron Fox only had 11 points on the night. Only took 13 shots, but he was only out there for 29 minutes. He probably just didn't have his A game tonight. He was only 1 of 6 from the 3-point line. It was all the shots that he took on the evening. But I really think that the fact you were able to take some of the load off those guys tonight was a huge bonus for this win. They needed this in a lot of ways. They needed this for the psyche, for the fans who have been having a few heart attack games and watching some disappointing losses tonight. I think the Kings needed a good game where they took care of some easy competition, didn't play with their food, so to speak, and to give those guys the rest, I thought was absolutely huge. Again, franchise record in 3-pointers, and the Kings Magic tonight, 136-111. Cabbage Sensei comments, armchair theory, our key to success is trying to recreate the heyday late 90s, early 2000s Kings roster, a pass-friendly team with passing inside scoring center who sets up the offense. Sabonis as DBOTS, later Brad Miller. I see the similarities. I don't think they're modeling it on that. I think you're seeing what they're it's really a lot of what they did in Golden State with where Mike Brown was before coming over to Sacramento, but also what they do in Denver with Jokic. I think that they're doing some of that when it comes to Domas. Street thumpers. What do you guys think of Sabonis tonight? One thing I noticed was that he was getting blocked a few times during the game. Yeah, he did get his shot swatted a few times in tonight's game, but again, think he needed a lot tonight. This is a guy who's played some heavy minutes for you. This is a guy who's playing with a broken thumb for you right now. I have no complaints with Tomas having kind of a quiet night. Yeah, he was 2 assists away from a triple double. Let's see. Jay Cliff says was Metu being benched. Why we suck defensively. I don't know if that explains all of it. But yeah, I mean, Metu is one of the better defensive players on this team, and his minutes were definitely reduced here of late. Mike Brown, even though he says he can't outscore everybody, Mike Brown going to his high scoring, low defense sort of lineups a lot recently because I think he sees that's the way to win until there's a shakeup of this roster. And Mark says Orlando's size was not a factor tonight either. Actually, no, it wasn't. As the Kings win the points in the paint battle, as I pointed out, 28-24, and it was a rebound battle, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 48-41. Orlando was getting a few too many second chance opportunities in the first half and in that third quarter when they made that run. But other than that, really just a solid night for the Kings. Start to a lot to complain about here as they blow out the Magic, 136-111. Harrison Barnes, the star of this one, 30 points on the night, 6 of 7 from 3, and didn't miss a field goal attempt until the third quarter. And like I said, 50 plus points from your bench. A lot of the things that have been problems for the Kings tonight, not a problem tonight, and they get a nice, easy win. Look up in the sky. There's purple as the Kings win 136-111. Much more on this one, I'm sure, tomorrow with Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross starting at 6 a.m. and then myself and Nick Cattles back at it on Cattles and Rami at 3 p.m. on Sactown Sports 140 and right here on the YouTube channel. Thanks for checking out the recap show, Kings Recap Show on the Sactown Sports YouTube channel. Talk to you next time. Thanks a lot. Good night.